Max's New Car is the 5th episode of the 2nd season of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and this is a pretty decent episode. One of my favourite bits involved a very brief encounter with Thomas O'Malley. Thomas O'Malley was one of my favourite Disney characters growing up, so that really made me happy. I think he's definitely a really underrated character today, but that was a very brief, fleeting moment. The main narrative here involves Max wanting Goofy to buy him a car, so he has to try and prove that he is responsible enough to do so. But obviously things don't exactly go that smoothly. And I really enjoyed it. I think you can look at the narrative from both perspectives, from Max wanting to take that next step in responsibility, have his freedom with a car, and also from Goofy's perspective as a parent who is maybe a little bit apprehensive about giving his young son a motor vehicle. And the cartoons in this as well all focus on cars, which is unusual because usually there's at least one cartoon in an episode of House of Mouse that just doesn't seem to fit in. They just put it in because they didn't have enough material to, match the main theme. But with this one, the 3 cartoons all fit in splendidly, although one is a little bit weird, and I will explain that. So the 3 cartoons I'll touch upon very briefly, but I will discuss them separately, one of which I've already discussed separately. The first one is Mickey's New Car, originally released in 1999 as part of Mickey Mouse Works, and as you can guess, Mickey gets a new car. And it's all about how sometimes stripping things back to basics it's going to be more favourable, and also about how people aren't going to judge you for the type of car you drive. Then we have Car Washers, and this is very much like a classic cartoon, one of the very early appearances of Goofy and Donald, where Goofy, Donald and Mickey are all washing Pete's car, and that's what we get here. And it's a race against the clock for them to wash Pete's car before he returns. And I like that they're kind of mirroring that same narrative, but doing it, updating it, making it shinier and polishing it a lot more. And it's definitely an interesting one to compare. And the third one is actually a clip from Motor Mania, which is a 1950 Goofy as George Geef cartoon. It takes about 2 minutes of that cartoon, and that cartoon's actually pretty lengthy. I can't remember exactly how long the full thing is, but it's definitely your average, 7 or 8 minutes, give or take. So it was definitely very interesting that they took a snap of that film and put it in here. I don't have anything wrong with that, or anything against that. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's actually quite interesting because you can really see the difference in animation style. Obviously, as Disney gradually adapted its animation style over the years, the changes were much more subtle over time. But when you have this against the more contemporary animation style, it's quite a stark contrast, and it's quite delightful, and it worked really well, and it fit in really well with the narrative. Max's New Car, from my personal preference, is not my favourite episode of House of Mouse, but actually, with the way everything weaves together so beautifully, it may be one of the best crafted episodes. Needless to say, Max's New Car is one that I definitely do recommend.